conversation I was having today with our digital officer and our board was around AI and how we bring AI into school in a structured way and what that looks like for faculty, for staff, for students. It's not going away, so what do we do with it? How do we use it in a way that's productive? But also thinking of the learning that needs to go around that, because I know if we do a survey, every single one of our faculty and staff will tell me that are at a different point with AI, that they've engaged with it differently, that they have different favorite forms, that they use it for different things. Putting out a 30-minute professional development session on AI and saying, this is what we now do with it, is not going to work for anybody. Very frustrated people in a room.
Do you have a few teachers who are using AI well, not just tools, but using it in terms of raising the thinking and awareness of the kids? And
yes,
so that's,
I've great practice with it that we can bring in, but it kind of goes back to that. If we then put a system in place, I know there's 10 teachers in that room that are phenomenal, and sitting there saying, well, this is how we log in and this is how we write a prompt is so not what they need. But I also know that there's another 10 sitting there who have never touched it because they're like, no, we don't really think this is the way to go. We don't really want to bring it into the classroom. We think it might be seen as cheating. So no. And they absolutely need the very starts of, well, how do we write a prompt? What does a prompt look like? Why do we need a prompt? In fact, why do we even want to use AI is possibly where we need to start. So it's just that, yeah, differentiate for adults the way you would for kids. But have your champions, have those people that are going to be enthusiastic, run with it and show the best practice that is transformational in the classroom.
again, circling back to that conversation we had off air, that's where you could have that sort of system where you're tapping those front runners on the shoulder and say, hey, can you just do some screen recordings and show what you're doing? But then you've got other tutorials for people who want to make a start.
Oh, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, the power that it brings. I was reading the EFF research that came out last week, I think their research paper that talked about how it helped teachers and how you could use it to relieve a lot of the workload, but then how you could use that time that had been freed up to build relationships and build connections with students. And for me, that's where the power of it comes. You can't teach AI to be human. You can teach children to be human and build those relationships and interpersonal skills. And AI gives you time to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, I hope, because there was a post on LinkedIn today, and I just threw in a curly one, because you would think that the advent of computers would have reduced the workload for teachers. I know AI is different to just the advent of computers, but you'd think that that would reduce the workload. But because you can do so much more with computers than you could without, then the expectations just rose. So I'm hoping that the focus is on reducing the workload with AI and not, oh, look, the extra things we can do. So that's my, because I'm not convinced there's enough people high enough up looking down at the teachers concerned about work intensification. Anyway, that's a completely different.
Oh, no, it's an interesting one, though. I don't think it will reduce the workload. I think it will shift the workload. I think it will shift it away from the mundane
Right.
and into the transformational teaching pieces, the actual working with the kids, the being with
Yeah.
students, building relationships, the connections. I think that's where the time will go. Yeah, I don't think you have increased time. I think you have increased time with kids and less time creating rubrics and churning out lesson plans. No,
Anyway,
that's what I think AI will let us do. I think AI will cut some of the time we spend
hopefully.
on dotting I's, crossing T's, and bring it back into the classroom.
Yeah.
It has to. It absolutely has to.
It has to. Otherwise, we're going to lose too many teachers.